uh, how how's the off season been, and a lot of new faces, but a lot of veteran guys as well. And how have you guys learned as a staff to over the last 4 or 5 years of mixing guys together?
Well, I tell you, it's a really good group. It's a tough group. Obviously, with the success that we had during last year's run into the College World Series, I think it just carried over. Leadership with the pitchers and also the position players. They've come together and really bonded really well. What I like about this group personally is they work hard, they care about each other, and they have a willingness to learn. And so it's been a lot of fun as a coaching staff when we have our weekly meetings.
When you go through the season that you had last year, where you started off strong and then a little bit of that roller coaster to end the regular season, and then just catch fire, what's I guess the lesson that some of the veterans can take from that to instill in some of the newcomers they have here?
You know, the big thing, I'll speak from the position player standpoint, we just talk about consistency, like bringing it every single day. And for the most part, offensively, I thought we brought it last year. Obviously, pitching dialed it up toward the end, and so I thought we were a complete type of team. Now, when you're in the College World Series, you're facing really good arms. Offensively, yeah, could we have done better? Sure, but you're facing good arms, but I thought our guys did a really good job of competing and fighting.
You lose Matt Klein, but obviously you bring in Jimmy Nugent from the JUCO ranks. How has he looked since arriving here on campus?
Jimmy, tough, hard-nosed, athletic kid. Baker and Mowry experienced what they went through when Matt Klein went down last year, and big learning lesson for them that they got to pick up their game. And so I think Jimmy coming in with George Baker and Colin Mowry, and we have a freshman, Andrew Freeman, a Florida kid. They work together. It's been really fun. They just get after it. Last year when Klein went down, broke his forearm. It's amazing that he came back, in 8 weeks and did the things that he did, for us offensively. Now, obviously, it seemed like the pitching staff kind of, gelled toward the end. But I think it's just a learning experience with those guys. And like I said, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, individually with the catchers as well as the whole team, is that it's a really tight group, and they're accountable with everything that they do with their drill work. And yeah, I would hope they're better. But yeah, Jimmy Nugent's athletic kid, and he got a chance to be a dude.
How does a year like last year, when you had to use, and you've had a couple of those years here recently where you had to use, you guys like to use multiple catchers, but you had to use even more. How does that do for the off season as far as getting, guys mentally getting ready that, hey, my number could be called no matter what number I am on?
Oh yeah, it makes everybody accountable and responsible. As an assistant coach, and Coach Rabe and I, it's kind of this way, is like Coach Mack makes a lineup, even though we discuss the lineup. But if a guy goes down, I just feel like we can just plug in a piece that will do that. And again, with Mowry and Baker, what they went through, last year, they weren't ready, but they got thrown in the fire. Now they know that what they have to do to be ready to play. And you're not an everyday player. You're a part-time guy. Whether you're a part-time guy or a full-time guy, you just got to come out and play and do what you do every day, from a consistent standpoint.
When you've got a new guy coming in that's expecting to have a big role, what's the process of, obviously you want them to gel with the pitching staff as quick as they can. Is it just repetitions, or is there a little bit more that goes into building those relationships?
Just with the JUCO guy, we got Jax Heisel in here as well, JUCO guys. They're good dudes. And our players, they kind of know each other. They play each other in the summer. And so that mutual respect right there, coming in the clubhouse is, really important, and they seem to do a really good job of that. But yeah, Nugent came in with Baker and Mowry, and like I said, Drew Freeman. They just gel well together. We just put them at the forefront, Nugent came here probably because of the history of our catchers, and, he wants to be, great, just like Mowry, just like Baker, and just like Freeman. And it was great having Dalton Rushing back here, a week ago. He comes into practice, and, he talks for like 2-3 minutes to the guys, and again, we just move on, because everybody's trying to climb that mountain to be a big leaguer, and everybody's trying to climb that mountain to win a national championship. And Louisville's been close a couple times, and yeah, we just that's where we want to go, and that's where we want to be. But for us, we just got to take one game at a time, one day at a time, be the best guy you can be today, and not look ahead. And I think that's the type of team this team has to be. And we will find out when we get punched in the mouth, go through some ups and downs, what type of club we'll have. But we do have the guys that did get punched in the mouth. You know, we got Rose, we got Alisea, Moore. I mean, these guys have been here since freshman year, had great years, and people bounce in the portal. These guys stayed here. They've gotten better. And I think in baseball, with our program, our development, winning and graduating and doing all those things, that, you know, it's great to have those guys here, and that's the leadership that we have.
Kind of building off of that, you guys obviously have some newcomers coming in, but this is a team that's probably going to be mainly relying on their continuity and the returners. Well, how does that continuity aspect help this time of year when you're ramping up to start up a season?
Yeah, it's huge, you know, and, you know, I rarely read, you know, a lot of information, but people will talk about our depth, and you don't know about your depth until they're thrown in the fire. We thought we had 3 catchers last year when Matt Klein went down. That's depth, but we didn't know what they were going to do. But like I said, there's been some bumps. These guys get better when they go out in the summer. We've had a lot of guys playing the Cape Cod, and, you know, they come back hitting 100 or 200, you know, and then some have pretty good summers. But all that plays into it. They communicate, they talk, they have team meetings. The players meet. And that's a big difference I've seen here in the last 2-3 years, is that, like, the leaders of the group take responsibility. So I can go after a leader, and they don't take it personal. They just about getting better and where we want to be.
Eric, what development after Tag's freshman year at the plate? What did you want? What did you guys want to see? We talk about him, the improvement, and going to that next, you know, to the next year and taking the next step.
Well, like Tag, interesting. I mean, athletic. Had 21 jacks, I think, last year, and maybe that was a surprise to everybody. He's a big dude. He's got great hand-eye. You know, from Coach Vrabe and my standpoint, when working at him with the hitter, we're just trying to put him in a better position to be consistent in what he's doing. But phenomenal talent. I mean, he does things like, you know, that you can't really teach. And but Tag has to take another jump, and Tag has to be consistent. And, you know, that's what older dudes do. They come out and fight the fight every single day to be consistent. And I think Tag is getting better. He's maturing.
You mentioned earlier about how Jimmy, you know, one of the reasons he wanted to come here was kind of the lineage of catchers that you've kind of had here over, you know, the last decade or more. How has that lineage made it easier for you on the recruiting trail in terms of just catchers specifically?
It's good that that's what we have. You know, it's just a piece in a conversation like we're having right now. I can name drop dudes, but at the end of the day, it ends up coming down to, is this the place that he wants to be, where he wants to get better and develop? And that's what it's all about. But yeah, you get in the door. I mean, Stephen Williams does our thing with Catchers U. I mean, I love it. The more stuff we can throw out at those, at those recruits, the better off. But at the end of the day, you got to find the right kid. And, we have blue-collar guys. I mean, nobody talked about Smith until April of the draft year. He wasn't in any publications. And we knew he was a dude. He knew he was a player, and then he put it together in the ACC tournament, and he just took off. So, again, I go back to Will, and he could move the ball, he could bunt. He did all the things that helped you win. He came every day to practice. He's still that way in the big leagues. He's a guy that you can count on consistent. And that's what we're trying to make all these guys, and that's what we talk to recruits. Now we got to deal with the money, the NIL, the portal, doing all this and that. But at the end of the day, you just got to find a spot that's the best fit to you. And Louisville, I think we put him in a really good situation, not only be a great college baseball player, but get a chance to be a big leaguer.
Who's an infielder right now that you think is maybe not getting enough attention?
Alex Alisea. He's 5'6", 5'7". He can play. If he's 5'10", 5'11", they'd have first-round talks about him. He handles the bat really well. He's defensively toughest kid I've ever, in my 34 years of coaching. He played through injury last 6-7 weeks. Josh Gruber, our trainer, was taping his wrist to play defense, take the tape off, and then he was taping his wrist to hit. So you're talking about true toughness on a dynamite in a small bottle. So he's a good player. I think Byron Hott is a guy that was kind of a utility guy last year that can play multiple positions, but and obviously you have a few of the freshmen, but yeah, those two kids are kind of stand out.
All right, guys.